Hello, I'm Steve Bell with AplusA Bellfalla, and thanks very much for your interest in Bayesian Typing Tools. The agenda for my presentation is there on the right. Basically, we'll start with conventional segmentation typing tools. What is their role? Why are they important? How are they used? I'll then point out a pretty significant problem with conventional typing tools, and that problem becomes the rationale for a different approach, the Bayesian typing tool. We'll take a look at a Bayesian typing tool. I'll show how it works, how it's different from a conventional segmentation typing tool, and frankly, why it's substantially better. And I'll close by pointing to some potential directions for further development of Bayesian typing tools. So what's the general problem we're looking at here? This is part of physician segmentation. And there on the left is a pretty typical scenario. And that would be a physician segmentation, data coming from an online survey. In the analysis, the data analysis, the physicians are divided into segments. And then the marketing team goes on to develop different messages tailored for each of the segments. And then comes field implementation by the sales reps. Now, for a sales rep to know which messages to use, that rep needs to know the physician segment. And that's where typing tools come in. Typing tools are usually Excel-based, interactive apps. The sales rep will answer a few questions about the physician and then enter those answers into the typing tool. And the typing tool will produce a prediction of the physician segment. Now, all of this sounds good in theory. And it is good in theory. And we're great believers in physician segmentation, the benefits. But if there's an important criticism that I've heard again and again, it is that segmentation studies fail to be implemented in the field by the sales reps. And the sales reps just don't follow through. They don't apply the tailored messaging for each segment. And because of that failure to follow through, the segmentation is maybe of some theoretical interest, but there's no practical impact. And so the question is, why is that? Why are sales reps not following through and implementing physician segmentations? And the big problem's the typing tool. Many sales reps don't like typing tools. And the question is why? And to answer that, let's take a close look at what happens with a conventional typing tool. In a conventional segmentation typing tool, the sales rep enters answers to a short series of questions. I've seen a number of typing tools over the years. Usually there's 5 to 8 questions. The answers to those questions will come from a dialogue between the sales rep and the physician. So the basic idea is the rep runs through those questions, gets the answers, enters those answers into the typing tool. Now, where are those questions coming from? Well, they're coming from the segmentation analysis. The statisticians who do the segmentation analysis, as part of that analysis, identify that set of questions, 5 to 8 typically, which collectively have the maximum predictive accuracy. If you get answers to these specific questions, you get a pretty accurate prediction of the physician segment. Usually, I mean, why would it be as many as 5 to 8 questions? Well, usually the segmentation covers several components, one component possibly being behaviors, another component possibly being attitudes, another being perceptions, who knows? But there's usually more than one component to the segmentation. Each of those components is a topic, and you may need 1 or 2 or 3 questions to get the data on that topic. Now, actually, what I'd like to do before I get into the problems, let me show you an example of a conventional typing tool. And let's take a look at how it works. Okay, here we have 6 questions. These are the typing tool questions, grouped into 3 categories, 3 topic areas. We also have a drop-down box where the sales rep can identify, select the physician specialty. And so, yeah, let's walk through a simple example. The sales rep is visiting, let's call it a primary care physician. Okay, now I need to answer these 6 questions. Let's start with the first. It's in the area of cost sensitivity. It's an agree-disagree statement. I consider it my responsibility, ... Okay, and so the rep asks the physician that question, gets the answer. Answer is going to be on a 5-point scale. Let's just say, for sake of discussion, somewhat agree is the answer. On to the next question. Another agree-disagree. When treating the disease, I prescribe the best therapies regardless of cost. Let's say that's strongly agree. And so the rep goes through these 6 questions. Short discussion with the physician on each question. Answers selected from these drop-down boxes. And where will the prediction appear? Over there on the right in column F. When we answer the last of these questions, boom, there we get a prediction. I just chose values at random, and I wasn't sure what I'd get. It is interesting that we've learned one of the segments isn't very likely, but there's 2 that are nearly equally likely. Usually it doesn't turn out that way, but it certainly can. And so, simple questions, get your answers, enter your answers, you get a segment prediction. If you have to say it's one segment, and usually that's what the rep would want, in this case it would be the confidence segment. And I will say it's a decision for the marketing team, but some marketing teams would prefer not to give these numbers. They're sort of like percentage likelihoods for each segment. They'd rather just give the identity of that most likely segment. The sales rep doesn't need to know the rest of the details. That's the main thing they need to know. And so in this case, we would just report out confident. This particular primary care physician is in the confident segment. Okay, so that's the conventional segmentation typing tool, and it actually has some pretty significant problems. There are frankly, I feel there's good reasons for sales reps not to like conventional typing tools. Problem 1, the sales rep is often challenged just to get access to the physicians. When the rep gets access, then there's very limited time for actual discussion, conversation with the physician. Now look at it from the sales rep's point of view. If you have a limited amount of time, what would you rather be doing? Running through typing tool questions or selling a product? Okay, so first problem is, should the typing tool questions get a high priority? Second, sometimes one or more of the questions may be clunky, awkward. Remember, they're coming from an online survey. In online surveys, sometimes the most powerfully predictive questions will be in formats that don't translate well to a conversation. Sometimes a topic may not be all that suitable for a free-flowing, open, candid conversation. And so that's the second problem, awkward or clunky questions. And then third, did you notice how in that example, the questions were in three very different areas? And so it's just sort of hard to construct a natural conversation where you jump from one area to another, all as part of that same conversation. And so you've got a third problem there. But what I'd like to point out is these are all coming from really one fundamental underlying problem, and that is the requirement that every question must be answered for the typing tool to make a prediction. And we have a solution for that problem, and it's the Bayesian typing tool. The term Bayesian is statistics jargon, but basically, with a Bayesian typing tool, even if you have no information for an individual physician, you'll still get a segment prediction. It's based on what a statistician would call your Bayesian prior. Then with the Bayesian typing tool, as more information becomes available item by item, you enter the additional data into this Bayesian typing tool, and the segment prediction is updated every time with every bit of additional information. Now let's take a step back. How would you get a prediction even if you have no information? Well, just think about it. If you truly don't know anything about that physician, would you be able to say that one of the segments is more likely than the others? And the answer is yes, of course. And that would be the biggest segment. Segments are almost never exactly the same size, all of them. One of them is going to be bigger than the others. And if you don't know anything else, guess that one. It's a place to start. But that's sort of an artificial example because in the real world, probably you do have some information about that physician. For example, the specialty or the type of treatment setting. Is it a private practice? Is it an academic hospital? That sort of thing. And if you do have even that most basic additional information, then you're beginning to get what we were calling here Bayesian updating. You start with nothing. Your best guess is the biggest segment, but if you even know just the segment, well, just the specialty, you know that in a specific specialty, the odds of it being one segment or another, based on the relative sizes of the segments, are a little different. So you've updated your prediction. And in fact, let me show you an example of how the Bayesian, what it actually looks like and how it works. Okay, so here's our conventional segmentation typing tool. Now I'm going to jump to the Bayesian. Same questions, exact same questions. Here we're starting with no data except that the physician is a psychiatrist. And look over here. Predictions. Probably in the, I've fudged some of the data for purposes of this presentation, but it's a pretty realistic example. In the data here, what I'm seeing is probably 43% of psychiatrists are classified as in the confident segment. So if all you know is the physician is a psychiatrist, your prediction is based on the Bayesian prior is confident, the confident segment. But let's suppose you get just one additional item of information. And that is, yeah, let's say you're a sales rep and you have a short conversation about whether the physician finds treating the disease intellectually challenging, or wording to that effect. Now let's suppose the answer is strong disagreement. Look at those segment predictions. Knowing that one item of information is highly informative, that, oh, no, this psychiatrist is not a confident, this psychiatrist is in the uninterested segment. And so the prediction has changed, it's been updated with the additional information. But here's the important thing to notice. There are still 6 typing tool questions. Data are missing for 5. And yet we're still getting an updated prediction. And so you don't have to answer all the questions. And yeah, you are given an incentive to answer more of them. Let me point out a potential problem with this approach. And that is, from the sales rep's point of view, if you have a prediction for the physician already, why enter any additional information? What's the motivation for that? If the typing tool's any good, wouldn't that initial prediction be a good prediction? Why bother with any additional information? Well, frankly, it's not a bad point, and so you need to have a good answer for that. And the answer we're using here is with this additional metric called the strength of the prediction. Now I'm going to jump back to the conventional for a second. The conventional typing tool doesn't have anything like that. Here with the Bayesian typing tool, we've added a number. It's the strength of the prediction. It's a number between 0 and 100. And the basic idea is, as you get more information, your prediction becomes stronger, and hopefully that's going to motivate sales reps to provide more information, to enter more information when it becomes available. And just, let me just show you how this strength of prediction number works. I'm going to take away this answer. Let's go back to the beginning. We don't know the answers here to any of the 6 questions, and so the strength of the prediction reported out is 0. That's our baseline. That's where we're starting. And so let's bring in the answer to one question, this one. Predictions have been updated, and the strength has also been updated. Now the strength score is 11. Let's add another item. Now the strength score is up to 30. And as you get more and more information, not only are the segment predictions updated, but so is that strength score up to a maximum of 100, and that happens when you've answered all 6 of the questions. Alrighty, so that is the Bayesian typing tool. And just to summarize, an initial segment prediction is provided even with no information. The sales rep can answer the typing tool questions, as many as wanted, in any order. The Bayesian typing tool reports out a strength of prediction score to encourage and reward the sales rep's entry of more information. And from the sales rep's point of view, in comparison to conventional typing tools, the Bayesian typing tool is easy to use, and it's always helpful. You're never fighting it. It's always telling you something, and if you know more, it can tell you something even better. But the rep is not the typing tool is not an impediment to implementation of the physician segmentation. The Bayesian typing tool actually encourages sales reps to implement the physician segmentation. All right, it's an innovative product, and already I mean, it inspires some thoughts on how the Bayesian approach actually can change a lot about how we predict segments. The way we no longer require 100% of the questions to be answered that's really quite liberating, because if missing data is permitted, why limit yourself to 5 to 8 questions? Why not load 20 questions or 30 questions into the Bayesian typing tool? If every one of those questions has some predictive power, then go ahead and load it in. And then for sure at this point, we're no longer expecting that for any given physician, all of the typing tool questions will be answered. I mean, it depends a bit on the questions, I guess, but if they're like the questions we were just looking at, I would be surprised if all of the answers were available for any physician. But missing data is okay. As more questions are answered, the prediction will always improve. Here, I think you would definitely see diminishing returns to scale. That predictive strength will get high, and answering more questions will improve it a bit, but not as much as answering the first few questions. So anyway, it's a very different approach, and I think it would just further enhance the flexibility of the Bayesian typing tools. So yeah, thank you very much. That's the basic idea, and yeah, let me hear if you have any questions. Thanks very much.